I think that's all right, but again, it's more bad, but at the same time they're talking about memorial honoring them. Again, I think that should go first as like the headline statement, like memorial honoring victims that died from gun violence, stuff like that.
Well, I feel it's kind of an interesting topic to think about. You can think if it's truly journalism and it's not a clickbait head title, then it's kind of good. It's catchy. It's trying to get people to read and actually talk about something like gun violence in America.
It's sad. Obviously, I think a lot of people in our lives have experience with gun violence, whether that's someone in our family, someone that we know, someone in our community. So it's not totally shocking. I guess the number is a little more shocking, but definitely sadness and I guess anger more than anything.
All the time, like from anywhere from ABC News, NBC News, CNN, Fox News. They always like to get your initial reaction.
I feel like pretty often. I feel like particularly that subject, because it's very hot, you hear about it a lot if it's not even, from just people, like it kind of being a hot topic, I guess.
Good news first. Find something positive about it before you give the terrible news, I would say. Is how I would approach it.
I guess rip off the Band-Aid. I mean, something that's dramatic and traumatic also, I feel like you can't buffer it. You can't wait and you can't fluff it up. It's that traumatic. You can't wait. They have to just know and rip the Band-Aid off. But if it's something that is less traumatic than that, then there's a better way to go about it so that it kind of falls not as harshly.
Definitely in person. I think, again, depends on the situation, but usually just sooner rather than later, because the longer you wait, the longer it is, more opportunities for other people or other sources to get to that person and tell them. So ASAP in person.
Shoot all the time, but I would say the one thing that hit me was I did lose my dog over the summer, so that was kind of terrible news, but overall I look at the positives that came out of the experiences with my dog.
Laying on my bed, I was FaceTiming my friend, and my mom, my sister, went to go visit, left home to go visit my mom's parents, and came back and my dad was gone. And my sister just texted me, "Dad left." That was it. That was the whole message, was Dad is gone. And I hadn't heard of my dad in a month, which was natural for him, but I thought that was it was traumatic, but it was something that could have been said a little later.
Probably last week, my brother, two of his friends passed away within 24 hours of each other, so that was really hard. It didn't necessarily directly affect me because I didn't know the individuals, but I love my brother, and whenever he's upset, it kind of transfers over to me, so I guess that would be some terrible news.
I kind of got it through text message that she died. It was like, "Oh, sorry to tell you this, but she passed away." But I would say the delivery could have been better, more positive out of it than focusing on the main negative part.
It could have been said over a call, and it could have been said from my mom, and it could have, from maybe both of them.
Again, very situational. I think as many times as we can tell people things in person is better. I'm not a fan of behind screen information and confrontation, things like that. So face to face, sooner rather than later. I think if we can kind of be a little bit more empathetic, put ourselves in other people's shoes, or be able to see it from their possible perspective is really helpful.
More appropriate.
I think that there is obviously a line, depending on how traumatic it is. I mean, there are some things that someone needs to know immediately, but it could be, you know, maybe they're going through a big presentation or something bad just happened, but something big is coming up for them, and as long as it's not something that you have to know immediately, I think that it can wait and maybe until after a portion of that person's life has passed so that they can at least focus on that. Because I'm somebody, if I want to be focused on maybe a project and I get bad news, something happens, I will wear that on my face. And I'll carry that with me. It's hard for me to just completely ignore something if it's bad.
I think that if it's going to affect a greater amount of people directly, then it's a little bit more justified. But if it's something that doesn't need to be addressed right away and doesn't put others at risk of their safety or health, then it can wait a little bit.
I believe that families should be taken more into consideration, as it is more impactful to them than maybe somebody just walking on the street that has no idea who they are. Kind of like the Kobe Bryant situation.
I think that you should always take the family into consideration before sharing it broadly.
I believe that families should be taken into consideration when it's the situation where it doesn't directly affect people on a greater scale in the first place. So I think that if it's not as important, it can wait a little bit and give people time to process.
Yes, I would have the family at least have a couple days to soak it all in, what happened and all that before, because a lot of the times when they get bombarded with like messages from other people like, oh, sorry to hear this, sorry to hear that, and you know, they don't really have time to like soak it in themselves because there's so much outside influence.
I think celebrity death is one thing because you do have to let the family realize almost, but mass shootings, I mean, I think specifically back at the Gilroy garlic shooting, festival shooting, I was in Gilroy at the time because I was driving from Monterey back to Danville, and we had stopped in Gilroy to get gas. And my mom called me immediately, and for some reason it was a weird time that I thought she would call, so I didn't screen it, and I picked it up, and she said, "Are you in Gilroy for any reason?" I'm like, "Yes, I am in Gilroy." And she said, "You need to get out now. There's been a mass shooting, and they haven't found the person, the shooter." So like that news, the fact that I was able to know immediately after it happened so that I could get out immediately, is something that is crucial to people's lives. Like, I didn't want to have to sit there, oh, let's get dinner here, and then with that craziness happening. But at the same time, when it's being reported on, I feel like because it's a mass shooting, because it's something almost so political, it does need to be reported immediately. As much as you want to take the families, them into consideration, when it becomes there's a mass shooter on the loose or something like that happened, I feel like that is everybody's right to know what's going on and right to know that that happened and that they could be in danger too if they're in the area or that something like that is happening. But when it comes to like a death of a celebrity or somebody who's famous in a way that hasn't endangered other people almost, it's kind of like then you have the ability to give the family more time to grieve before letting everybody else know.
I think it should. Everybody kind of grieves in their own ways, even if people aren't showing it. It's kind of a process. So I think that should definitely be a part of the consideration when talking about what's going to be released and who and when it's going to be released to.